Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy again. You're welcome to another episode of my life's journey. Today is the 8th November 2024. It's 5:34 a.m. I'm talking to you live from my room here in Scarborough, Ontario. Yeah. So today I wanted to make a special episode, to give my honest reaction to the American election that just went down. Tuesday, the American people voted. Wednesday, I woke up to the news that Donald Trump won. I needed to take some time to process whatever had happened before, giving my own POV or my own point of view on whatever was going down. Man, I would say to be shocked that I am shocked is quite an understatement. Like, I don't know what to say in the midst of these elections. Like, Americans knew who he was. Americans knew who Donald Trump was. It's not like they could claim this time around that there was ignorance or they did not know better. You knew who Donald Trump was. You knew what he had done. You had seen him being a president, and yet you still voted for him. Like, you can say, in where I come from, there's often a saying that the first fool is not the real fool. It's not the fool, but it's the second fool that's the real fool. Which means that if you have been fooled the first time, we can give you a pass that you didn't know better. But if you get fooled again the second time, then there's a problem. And Americans knew who he was. During his campaign, it's not like he shied away from showing you who he was or what he had in mind. No, you knew who he was. You knew what he had in mind. You heard what he was saying, and you still voted for him. And it's not even a case of perhaps him winning the electoral vote and losing the popular vote. Like, no, the guy did a clean sweep. The guy won Congress, won Senate, won the popular vote, swept the electoral vote, and became president. Like, it's not like you cannot say that no, the people did not want him and then he was the one, the electoral. This one, you actually voted for him. The people say, we want him. You heard what he said and you said you want him. I think what this election tells us is quite very plain and simple. And it's that the days of discussing policy and what you do for the people are over. Right now is who can piss the people off more than the other. Kamala Harris all her time was saying, we are going to do this, we are going to increase this, we are going to put more money here and there. And all Trump was saying is they are eating the dogs, they are eating the cats. That's it. I mean, the rumor was proven to be unfounded. And literally, his running mate literally said that he's not afraid to lie if in his words is going to bring attention to the plight of the American people, which of course it was not about that. It was just all about lying to antagonize people. Literally going around and saying that they are eating the dogs, eating the cats. Prior to even the voting, he was saying that they are stealing the election. And all Kamala Harris was doing was discussing policy. And the Americans saw that and said, we don't care about policy. We really just care about, that they are eating the dogs and eating the cats. And, I often say that my first lessons is that the age of discussing policy has gone off in America. It's no longer about that. Americans no longer care about policy. You care, you tell them, put them a comprehensive plan of how you are going to bring prosperity to the country. As long as there's somebody who can give them an enemy to hate, that person is who they are going to choose. And that's what Donald Trump did. While Kamala Harris was discussing policy, Trump simply gave them something to hate and they voted for him based on that. And that's just it. That's just it. At the end of the day, that's the first lesson that I can say. That was my first takeaway, that in America, the age of, discussing policy has passed. Now it's more about culture wars and who you can piss off more than the others. Now, the second thing that I've learned from this election is that I think it's high time for the world to start taking a second look at their relationship with America. At the end of the day, we won't really care about this election if it's that the fate of the world didn't depend on America. And it's unfortunate that we have to depend on a country whose election we have to hold our breath it's so unfortunate that we have to put our lives in the hands of a nation that cannot make the right choice, or that cannot vote right at every time. Every 4 years we have to hold our breath. Every 4 years we have to hold our breath because we are praying the Lord and we are making Hail Marys, hoping that Americans don't do something stupid every 4 years. I think while in the short run is good, it may be good for Americans, but I think in the long run it's not good for the world. I think it's high time for the world to start taking a second look at their relationship with America, because it is not feasible in the long run to have a hegemony that is as unstable, that's becoming as unstable as America. Often Americans like telling everybody that we don't care about the rest of the world, we are tired of footing your bills, please you people should go and look for yourself. And everybody is like, nobody will give two shits about what's happening in your country. If you people were not going around and destabilizing everyone, if you were not going around imposing your economic system, imposing your currency on everyone, maybe if you stayed in your country and stuck to your baseball and everything, nobody would care about it. Now you have gone around the world, you wanted to impose yourself. Now at the time where everybody is looking up to you, you are now telling everybody to go. And in the long run, it's not good. You cannot have a nation as unstable as America. They are not consistent. One day they will like, the other day they can throw you to the dogs. Because every 4 years, the Americans don't know any better. And I often say that sometimes when it comes to an American people, I think it is very wrong for the world to put their fates in the hands of an average Joe from Wisconsin or Pennsylvania. And I think it's high time for the world to start looking out for themselves. The Asian countries, they need to start looking out for themselves and organizing themselves in their own bloc. Maybe Europe has to start taking a second look at NATO, at the NATO alliance, and be like, maybe we need to start, doing our own thing our own way and stop relying on America. Because it is clear that the American, when he's voting, he is very much unaware of his position in world politics, and is very much unaware of the role that he has to play in forging world policy. So it is clear that the rest of the world needs to start, taking a second look at their relationship and thinking maybe it's time for us to do our own thing and stop depending on these people who are not stable. And you'll be shocked at the end of the day to see how much ignorant the average American is. The average American is not smart. Where America is, I will say it, the average American is not smart. Forget about the whole IQ thing that they like to remove every time when they're talking. The average American is not smart. He's not. The average American is not a smart person. It's just a few people that are keeping the lights on in America. If today those few people are removed, the lights are going off. The average American is not a smart person. He cannot even distinguish his left from the right. As a matter of fact, he can't even point up to 10 countries on a map. The average American, that's him. So, to put your security, to put your faith in the hands of people like that is very wrong. I think at some point the world needs to start to have needs to start having uncomfortable conversations around whether it is time to start doing things start moving on from America or not. Because Americans are becoming unhinged as the days go by. And the more unhinged Americans are becoming domestically, the more unhinged their foreign policy is going to be. So I think at some point we need to start having conversations about that. That's the second takeaway from the elections. The third takeaway from elections is that Americans only learn from consequences. The best way Americans will snap out of where they are right now, whatever trance they are right now, the best way they will snap out of it is if there's an economic disaster that hits them so bad that at the end of the day, they snap out of it. It's something like a 2008 recession. You know, Americans were so entrenched. At some point, there was a time where Americans were so entrenched in conservatism, the early 2000s. They were very much enraptured in their conservatism. They wanted to, we don't care, everything. And it took the 2008 recession for Americans to snap out from whatever trance that they were in. And I think that's what will be needed for America, not that recession style. Americans never learn from consequences. Americans never learn from warnings. You advise an American, you're wasting your time. To him, he needs to learn from consequences, and that's it. But in any case, what I can say to Americans is, from these elections, I've learned that, Americans have moved past the usual policy discussion and everything. Now Americans are in an age of rage. It is who can piss them off the most, who can rile them up the most, who can give them an enemy to hate, and that's the only way that you are going to win. Whatever happens to the American people, Americans will not claim that they didn't know better. You saw Trump being president. During his campaign, you saw him, what he said. You saw what he promised. You read his projects, everything. And you still went ahead and voted for him. At this point, Americans can no longer claim that we didn't know better. We never thought that Trump was going to do this. You cannot claim that. You cannot claim ignorance at this point. You knew who he was, you knew what he represented, and you still voted for him. So at this point, you cannot claim that we didn't know better, or we didn't understand that it was going to be like this. You cannot claim ignorance this time around. That's the good thing about it. Is that now Americans will no longer play the ignorance card. I don't know. I never knew. I did not know that it was going to be like this. You cannot claim it. Whatever happens, you just have yourself to blame at this point. And that's just it. The people that I feel the most sorry for is, the Ukrainians. Because I know that Trump is about to throw them to the dogs. That's it. Ukraine is done. I wish for Ukraine to win, I think in this war, Ukraine is in the right, and there's no level of communist propaganda that will ever make me change from that, or there's no amount of leftist propaganda from other black people that will make me change from that. Ukraine is in the right when it comes to the war, and they deserve all the help and the solidarity that they can get, because it's not fair what Russia is doing. They have sovereignty, they have the right to choose whether they want to be part of NATO or they want to be part of Russia. You are not the one to tell them what they want, what they have to do or what they don't have to do. And unfortunately, I know that Trump is going to throw Ukraine to the dogs. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going to happen. Number two, what's going to happen is Palestinians essentially are going to become a parking lot. I feel sorry for them, They may be Muslims. Personally, I don't have an appreciation for Islam as a religion. As a matter of fact, when it comes to all religions, I don't have any appreciation. I think the only religion that I follow is the court of the supreme being. Yes, that's my religion there. But aside that, me, I don't have any appreciation for all religions. But at the end of the day, they are the ones who are getting fucked. Yeah, they may have been the ones who started the war. They are the ones who started the war. But I think even in that war, even though they are the ones who started it, there are innocent civilians who didn't sign up for anything that's happening right now. But unfortunately, it's just what is happening. It's just what is going to go down. Palestinians are finished. Yeah, they are finished in advance. Those are the two people who I would say they are the most fucked, like that, the most screwed out of everybody else. They're getting screwed, you know, out of everybody else. So, yeah, essentially, I felt like this morning it will be proper for me to share a bit my thoughts, you know, about the elections and how I feel about it. But at this point, I can only say that whatever choice Americans they have, they just need to, you know, assume the consequences of whatever choice they are going to make. At this point, they cannot act like we didn't know that was going to happen. We didn't know that that is what he was going to do. We didn't know. You can no longer claim that. At this point, you know, you knew what was going to happen. You knew what was going to happen. So we can only pray for everybody and hope that everything goes well. So whatever choice they make, that's theirs to make. So yeah, these are the thoughts, you know. I don't do politics. I think this is the first and the last time that you ever see me share about politics on my this thing, on my social media, on this channel, you know, because, you know, I just wanted to share my thoughts. But yeah, this is the last time that you see me share anything about politics on my vlog. But I just needed, you know, to share my thoughts because I felt like, you know, I personally I don't understand how Americans made and voted for Trump a second time. Like, you saw what he was, you saw his language and his rhetoric, and you still voted for him. It's just surprising, you know. I think Americans, whatever happens, man, Americans deserve it. So I often say that, you know, everybody get the leaders that they deserve. Everybody get the leaders that they deserve. You cannot be a benevolent people and you get a leader as Trump. Every leader is in the image of its people. Trump is in the image of the Americans. Trump is in the image of Americans. So that's just how it is. Anyways, yes, thank you for listening to my vlog. I'm your host once more. We'll have another episode again when we'll talk about this. See you next time.